Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to do a quick review of my game week 2 score and how that went. I'm also going to look at some possible moves that I could make for game week 3, and then I'm going to look at some of the current narratives in the FPL community and give sort of my thoughts on them, and finally I'm going to try and again predict the top 3 point scorers for this weekend like I did last week, and we'll also look at how the scores came in for those predictions from last weekend. So just if we jump into a quick review of the last game week, it wasn't too bad. 67 points overall, which was 10 above the average. So I got a green arrow. Obviously I'm happy with that element. It's still pretty early days to be looking at overall rank, so I'm not too concerned there as long as I'm moving upwards each week. Jumping into the team, Ramsdale, I wasn't expecting too much against Leicester. They're a team that can score against anyone, so not too worried about him. I'm hoping for a few clean sheets over the upcoming game weeks because Arsenal have some really good fixtures coming up. Trent, lots of people have double Liverpool defence, so I wasn't too worried about losing the clean sheet because obviously I don't have that double up in defence, so it would have possibly hurt me if they had kept the clean sheet, but I was hoping for a few attacking returns. He looked really good, really attacking again, so it's only a matter of time before he starts raking those goals and assists in. And then the other 3 defenders, Walker, James, Trippier, I think they got the exact same scores as they got me last week, so I was really happy with that. Walker looks great still for 5.1 million he is now. I think the double up in City defence is a really good strategy. I feel like I really do need to get Cancelo in. I should have had him in for the beginning, to be honest. And I will be looking to get him in as soon as I can. But obviously I need to free up funds in order to do that. So it may still be a few weeks yet. I'm just hoping it doesn't punish me that much. James got a goal. No clean sheet, sorry. He looked really attacking when he played at right wing back. And Trippier, again, he's been awesome for the first 2 games. He's now got a few difficult fixtures, so I'm going to have to think about what to do with him. Bailey's been the biggest disappointment here. Obviously he was always a punt, but we hoped that he would at least start the first couple of games. He's already been benched in the second game, and there's no guarantees he's going to play again. He came on for a 1-pointer, so yeah, not great there. Salah, honestly, quite happy that he didn't score anything because he was the second most captain player. So that would have been harmful for my rank if he had scored, because I didn't captain him. So I'm not too worried there. And next week I think he's going to do pretty well. Just moving on to the others. Kane was really lucky to get a last minute goal there because it looked like he wasn't going to get anything. I think Chelsea probably... I think they were unlucky to not come away with a win in that game because they were pretty dominant at Spurs throughout, and there were a few possible contentious decisions made by the referee in that game. So I'm happy with the 8-pointer. I wasn't necessarily expecting goals against Chelsea, but yeah, I'll take that with the two bonus. Jesus was ridiculous in the Arsenal game. Everything was going through him. Obviously scored 2 goals and got 2 assists. So anyone that sold him after his game week 1 blank is obviously kicking themselves now, and I'm really happy to still have him going forward. And Haaland, obviously that was a disappointment to only get an assist in that game at home against Bournemouth. There was a really good chance at one point where Foden should have squared the ball to Haaland, would have been a guaranteed goal, right in front of goal, open net. So yeah, it was just a bit annoying, but what can you do? I had a few points on the bench this time. De Silva scored a goal. I did think he would probably start the game, but I was never going to put him in my first 11 because his attacking threat isn't amazing. And Williams, he actually looked pretty good in his match, very attacking. I don't think Forest is going to keep loads and loads of clean sheets, but it does look like Nico Williams could come in with a few assists, maybe a goal, because he did look quite advanced in that game. In terms of my planned transfers or what I could possibly do, the biggest issue in the team is Bailey, because as I said, there's no guarantee that he's going to start going forward. And I guess the other possible issue in the team is Trippier, because of the next four or so, they're not great. But I do really like him, and I think I will be looking to get him back in later if I take him out, because he's been great. He's played amazing. Newcastle's defense has been good, still not like elite level, but they've looked fairly solid. So I could possibly remove both of those. I've got 2 free transfers. If I remove Trippier and Bailey, I could move to a 4.4 million defender and a 5.5 million midfielder. Unfortunately, the reason the defender needs to be 4.4 million is because Bailey's dropped in price. I did see that happen. It was going to happen, and I was watching the price changes, and I almost made a move, but I really wanted to get those press conferences before the weekend so that I can make a more informed decision. The only really viable 4.4 million defender at the minute is Tomiyasu, but there's no guarantee he's going to start this weekend because he's only just come back from injury. So I'm not too keen on that. And in addition to that, there's not really many 5.5 million options that I really like. Damari Gray could be an option, but it's not that inspiring. Gordon would have been an option, but now he's been linked with Chelsea, so I'm not sure what's going to go on there. If I did buy him and then he moved to Chelsea, he's not going to be starting in that team, so then it's just a transfer waiting to happen. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly if I want to go down that route. Another option is I could just do Trippier to Cucurella. I think he should start for Chelsea at left wing back for now, because Chilwell's still not fully fit, and Chelsea have good upcoming fixtures in the short term, so it is probably a short-term pick, especially when Chilwell does get back fit again. Could potentially see some rotation there, but the upside is he's looked pretty good when he's played, could get attacking returns, and Chelsea are always good for clean sheets. If I wanted to go really risky, I could downgrade Bailey to a 4.5 million mid and upgrade Trippier to Perisic, but Conte had a press conference today and he still hasn't indicated that Perisic is ready to start, so it still feels like it's too much of a punt at this point, because he could easily be benched again in the next game, come on for a 1-pointer. So yeah, there aren't too many options available to me at the minute, so I am leaning towards the Cucurella move. And in terms of the team structure, it will probably be, again, pretty similar to what I've currently got. Instead of Trippier, it'll be Cucurella there. And then Bailey would probably be benched, and I'll play most likely Andreas Pereira, unless Gerrard comes out and says Bailey's definitely starting, in which case I'll probably give him this as his last game. But we'll have to wait and see what he says. And in terms of the captain, I think Salah's probably the best option this week. Man U have been awful in the first 2 matches, and as well as that, Salah usually does well against them. I actually, in this same fixture last year, I captained Havertz when he was playing against Norwich, who blanked and was subbed off early, while Salah got 24 points and everyone had captained him. So that massively hurt my rank, and obviously that's kind of scared me a little bit. But I still, even apart from that, looking at how bad Man U have been, I can see Salah getting some goals in this game. The one thing I would say is that I would recommend vice captaining a player from another match, because there's some planned protests before the Man U Liverpool game against the Glazers, and the same thing happened last year, and it caused the match to be postponed. So if you've got a captain and a vice captain from Liverpool and that match gets called off, then you're not going to have any captain playing this game week. So I'd recommend vice captaining sort of Jesus, Haaland, Kane, one of those kind of players from another match. So that's probably about it for the team. So moving on to the next segment, which I wanted to talk about, was sort of the current narratives that I'm seeing in the FPL community on Twitter and in forums. First thing I want to talk about is Josh Da Silva. A lot of people saying he's sort of essential at 4.5 million, swapping players out to get him in with the idea of playing him every week. And even though I've got him in my team currently because I've had him from the start, I do disagree with this narrative that we should be actively looking to get Da Silva in. I do think he'll probably start the next game, but still, he's not completely nailed. They've still got Damsgaard waiting in the background trying to come in, so still we need to wait and see what happens to Da Silva when he starts playing. But the other element is Da Silva's scored 2 goals so far, which is obviously why there's this big rush to bring him in. But he scored them from 0.07 xg. So obviously he's overperforming massively at the minute. And looking further into the stats, he's only had 1 touch in the opposition box so far this season. And those 2 goals that he scored came from his only 2 shots so far. So obviously no player can maintain 100% goal conversion record throughout a season. So obviously that's going to come down. On the flip side, Brentford do have really good fixtures in the short term. So there is a chance he could still get some attacking returns, but I just think we really need to lower our expectations of him because to think he's going to be this guy that's going to be scoring every couple of games, it's just not going to happen. To be honest, I think he probably will blank in the next few games, and all of a sudden the FPL community is going to be, or they will have forgotten about him, or they'll be looking to move him on. The next one I wanted to talk about is Cucurella. As I've seen a lot of people talking about him as if he can cover Reece James rather than getting him in addition to Reece James. Obviously, the benefit is that he's £1 million cheaper, so then you can spend those funds somewhere else. But I mean, although as I mentioned already, I think Cucurella is a good option, I don't agree that he can cover Reece James's points because James is just so explosive in some games, and he has such a massive ownership as well that if he does go ahead and do these massive hauls, goals, assists that we know he can do, it's obviously just going to massively hurt your rank. And I don't see Cucurella having that same sort of explosiveness. He hasn't got the same ceiling that James has. So I think Cucurella is fine to bring in, but I don't think people should be selling James to get Cucurella. The next one I wanted to talk about was Leon Bailey. A lot of people saying he needs to be sold immediately, and I guess for this one I mostly agree with it. As you know, I've got him in my team now, and I am looking to get rid of him if possible. He was always going to be a punt, but yeah, as I said earlier, we're going to have to wait and see what Jared says about him this weekend. But if he's not going to play, I think we just got to move him on. But the problem is, his price point's really difficult to move him on to anyone because none of the other 5 million midfielders are any good, really. Like, I wouldn't want to put any of them in my team week in, week out. So either you're going to have to downgrade him to a 4.5 million midfielder and then use the funds maybe to upgrade a defender, or downgrade somewhere else and upgrade Bailey to maybe a 5.5, or hopefully better would be a 6. If you didn't have Martinelli and you had the funds to move to him, then obviously that would be a no-brainer. So that's it for that section. I just also wanted to go over how I did in terms of my predicted top scorers last week. So if you saw the last video, I predicted that Jesus, Foden and Darwin would be the top scorers. So obviously Jesus was the top scorer of the week, so we did pretty well there. It was an incredible performance from him, and he's shown he could be sort of a captain option for this weekend. Foden scored and got an assist. So again, I was pretty happy with that. He came off at half time, so obviously wasn't on the pitch long enough to get the extra appearance and clean sheet points or any more attacking returns. So he didn't make it into the team of the week, although I think he probably could have done if he had stayed on. So it was 2 out of 3. Darwin was obviously the big flop after his ridiculous red card, but there's no way I could have predicted that happening. And he did look really dangerous before that, and was getting into good positions, having some shots. So if he stayed on and didn't get that card, then he could have gone on to score, and it would have been 3 for 3 in my predictions. But what can you do? So looking at this weekend, first up I've got Mohamed Salah. I did say in my last video that I wasn't going to pick the likes of Salah every week, but this time I feel like he has to be included. I can see him going just completely nuts against United, especially looking at how poor they've been those first 2 games, and that's also why I'm going to be captaining him as well. So I could see him being the top point scorer for this week easily. My next pick is Reece James. I think he should start this match at right wing back, and I can see him getting some goals and assists. And I wouldn't put it past Chelsea to keep a clean sheet as well. Leeds are good attacking, but Chelsea's defence is good as well. So who knows? We might get in a clean sheet and attacking returns and be on for one of his 18 pointers. And I think, I'm not sure, I haven't checked the details, but I'm pretty sure last year against Leeds, James came away with some massive scores. So hopefully he can do that again this year. But there's no guarantee of that, obviously. And my last pick is another Chelsea player. I've gone for Raheem Sterling. The Leeds defence is not very good. Sterling's nailed in that Chelsea team. He's only got an assist so far, but I fancy him to score his first goals in this game. I can see him getting loads of space in that against that Leeds team, if they play the way they usually do. And yeah, I can see him doing well against them. So that's my top 3 picks for the weekend. And that's everything for today. So thanks for watching the video, and let me know in the comments what you think about my top 3 predictions. And I'll see you again soon for the next video.